Hello, this is Brian Rowe with Meeples Included doing a dive into the strategy in AquaSphere. This is an intro strategy video that is going to look at some tips to help improve your game when playing one of Stefan Feld's most complicated games out there. As you guys already know, I don't do rules or a general review. I go over stuff that I think is awesome, but if you want to know more about the game generally, head over, watch Rahdo or Watch It Played. Watch It Played's got a great rules run through, and Rodney in his final thought covers a lot of really interesting points about the game. It's one of the best videos talking about the game to help give you an idea of whether it would be right for you. He's also got a wonderful playthrough that is linked off of that. This particular game has the goal that we see in a lot of Euros, a single goal, which is victory points. Get lots and lots of victory points. Victory points, though, are the end point, not necessarily what you want to go for early on, though, because there is some disadvantage to getting victory points in that you've got to use these weird little crystals to go past lasers, and I'll cover that later. So don't fixate too much on victory points during the game. Think about the strategies that you're going to need to implement to hit some nice end game scoring. Some of those strategies are going to include specialization, midterm planning, and area control. There's a pretty good amount of points in this game for controlling area when you pass the turn and everybody else has passed. The types of tactics that are very common to this game, there is a turn order that changes every round, and that turn order is very much like the turn order in the expansion on Terra Mystica. When you pass first, you become the first player. When you pass second, you become the second player. So the individual who's got the most actions becomes the last player. Occasionally, taking an extra action or two is not better than passing to get that early advantage to get to something that you need in the next round. There are some wonderful improved action cards that are available very early on in the game. You have these upgrade cards throughout the game. Later in the game, you get more points for grabbing them, but the value of them goes way down. If you can pick up one or two improved action cards early on in the game that are going to give you points again and again and again, that can be a nice advantage. The other thing is, this is a very agile game, and I'll cover that a little more when we dive into the deeper strategy. Laser management is extremely important in this game. I've seen people in their first few playthroughs lose a significant number of points because they don't have the crystals that you need to get past the lasers. But beyond that, your endgame scoring doesn't need crystals. So if you've got a choice between grabbing some points now or a different action that's going to give you similar points in the endgame, it's almost always better to grab those endgame points because it's saving you on having to spend those crystals to go past the lasers. Crystals are also worth a significant amount of points if you're able to store up a few of them in your personal lab. Those points add up. This is a fairly low scoring game. Having those points shifted to endgame and not needing to spend them on lasers is definitely useful. This game requires not necessarily a sprint, but the ability to change direction while you're playing. Each of your opponents are taking actions, and when they take those actions, they leave a bunch of other actions available. You, at the beginning of a round, are going to try to plot out a course of what your actions are going to be for the round, but then you need to recalculate, kind of tack back and forth with that plan as the people around you take actions. You can speed up your turn significantly by watching what other people are taking for their actions and planning what you think the ideal action is now, given the change in board state. One of the things I really enjoy about Feld's games in particular is that a lot of them reward you for doing things other people are not doing. If octopods are building up and nobody seems to be grabbing the lab pieces that clear out multiple octopods at once, there's a huge number of points there that one person can grab. If everybody, though, is clearing out their octopods again and again and again, then there's almost no points there, and that particular strategy should be left alone. The same thing is true of crystals, labs. A lot of people have already recognized this on the forums over at BGG. This is where a giant number of points are. This is the best point generator out there. You should go for a diverse lab that you complete by the end of the game. The top lab that I have featured here. It has an A, C, D, E, and F. It's ready for just a B to close itself out. That is perfect. The ability to get 21 points for those diverse letters plus 5 points for completing your labs is great. The other lab here that I found online is just a mess. They have duplicate Fs, duplicate Cs, a blank. Yes, they're going to get the 5 points for finishing it, but given that these points for A through F increase as you get more and more of them, they've given up a lot of points with this particular lab. Managing your lab well and going to complete your lab is definitely part of a winning strategy in this game. This is one of the few areas where I think the game may actually need a slight amount of rebalancing. If you brought down the points on the labs a little bit, it would be a less required. It's possible to win without labs, but labs are the easiest way to get a lot of points early that are all scored at the end game. Subs are a trap. 1 or 2 subs early on can give you a little bit of time production. Getting enough time to get an extra action is fine, but if you go for subs again and again and again, especially when other people are, they get increasingly more expensive. The 5-point bonus is just not worth it. Yes, you're getting the round bonuses, but I've seen very few people win the game and get all their subs out there. It looks like from this endgame scoring that these are both really things that you should shoot for. Labs are just so much better than subs. It's not even close. The next tip that I've got here is taking a look at the board. Make sure to distribute at least one robot in each of the different spaces all the way around the board. This is important because it helps maximize the number of points you're getting in between rounds. And when robots are sent back, if you've evenly distributed your robots, less of your robots are going to get sent back. It's only the multiples that are stuck down there in that holding bay that get returned to their owner. So that distribution is really, really helpful. Now it's your turn to add some tips over AquaSphere. What are the 1 or 2 strategic tips that are most useful to you when playing this game to unlock the deeply hidden secrets of board game strategy? Subscribe to Meeples Included. Thanks, this has been Brian Rowe with Meeples Included. I look forward to seeing you guys all out at cons. I'm going to be out at Gen Con this year.